I can say that I tried. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm really sorry for all it is that you're about to see. Like, I really hope just for a moment I could promise you honesty, but this is the punk scene, man. Lie to me. Lie to me as much as you want. Tell me it'll be okay. Promise me that my scars tell stories, but none that are worth staying for. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm not everything that you're expecting, and I'm sorry that you might be a little lost, and I'm sorry that it might hurt, but what I can't promise you is familiarity. Like, maybe you'll see a little bit of you and me, but Chicago, look, guys, how are you? I like legit, how are you?
Great.
Okay.
Are you?
Right now, yes.
Right, a little bit. Well, you know what? I swear I'd just be awkward. Elliot, you've become my guitar stand. Thanks, bud. Well, make sure that you're telling me the truth, because honestly, of all of the times that I have asked, man, I've kept my words few for fear of bothering you, but in lieu of my silence, like my face should have screamed volumes, like it should have risen from my eyes, my body language louder than the cries that refused to rise to my lips, or Elliot tuning. Look, the last time you asked me how am I honestly felt like I was dying. Like something inside of my soul was just trying and prying to shake loose. Like you'd ask me if I was doing good, but know that I lied through my teeth. I was in the middle of a storm. Look, I lied to your face when I told you I was all right, but what would it be like? Like what would it be like if it seemed like that question could accept any answer like it should? Like what if we could talk about what's wrong today? Or maybe a way a random poet from Ohio might be able to make it better. Look, you're right. I don't know you. Like legit, I don't know any of you. That's awkward. I promised that, didn't I? But what I do know is that I'm just like you and you were just like me. We're created as a simple part of humanity, but I do know all about falling. And all about walling, and it feels like nobody ever answers, and soon my pleas will turn to ranting as I realize there's nothing to soften that hard landing, and that, my friends, I'm assuming is when it all breaks apart, right? Like, I've learned the gentle art about lying about these allergies that hide the fact that I'm sorry, but I've been crying over things. Look, I'm really sorry. I think you wouldn't understand. Like, I'd rather have you believe that I own a rabid cat and let you know that every single one of these cuts on my wrist are intentional. Like, when I ask you how you are, I'm asking you to answer me blandly because you don't think I understand. Trust me, I do. When I ask you how you are, I'm going to ask you to answer me quickly because you think I've got somewhere else better to be. When I ask you how you are, I really just want to know the truth, and like whether it takes moments or hours to talk about the walls that you were tearing down or you're going in through, like I swear that I'm here for you. Like I would mine the very center of the earth meant finding the thing that would make you smile again, but I can't do that unless you tell me the truth. So, Elliot's basement, guys, how are you?
Still very tired.
That's very fair. Y'all woke me up with butt crack dawn this morning. I'm still not happy about it. My name is Agent Speaks. I'm a spoken word artist from Cleveland, Ohio, which usually is when people go, yay, Cavs, except LeBron left, so we're doomed. Which is perfectly fine. I've been on tour with my dudes and girl and DDF for the past week, and like I said, they woke me up with a butt crack dawn, so really no idea how this is going to go. So yeah, do you know what spoken word is? Thank the Lord, I had to explain this last time. Same show that people had to clap at, and it just did not go well. Arkansas for you. Yeah, I'm just going to jump right into it. Is that all right with you guys?
Yeah.
Cool.
I was going to do it anyway, so I'm like... So my mom is not the best cook. Actually, she taught me how to do it, and it tells you, like, I still can't. She taught me the art of burning water, right? So we used to have, like, lasagna day, and it's a big deal in our house because it's really tasty. Like, it's not our, like... Elliot, you've got glass on your floor. It's not like...
I swept it.
Did you? Well, this is the third time I've got stabbed, so... Gotcha. Anyway, so my mom makes like these lasagna casseroles, and what she'll do is she'll like put all of the pasta into the dish. You gotta make the cheese right. Like if you don't get the meat right, it just tastes terrible, right? You've never had lasagna, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, if you're my mom, you've got to do this twice because you burnt the first batch. And in the meantime, you've left your 5- and 6-year-old daughters upstairs. And my mom, she always tried to do what was best for us. So in order for us not to fight over who got the top bunk in our new bunk bed, she got these loft beds, right? What that means is that at some point she had to put the mattress on the actual bed, which never happened because my mattress is still on the floor. Now what that meant, though, so now you have 6-year-old me running around in Superwoman underpants, literally, thinking that I could fly. So she's downstairs making all this lasagna, and I like climbed up to the top of my bunk bed. I looked down and I realized that, man, Superwoman's got to save her stuffed animals. Like, how does Superwoman get to where she's got to go? How does she get where she's got to go? She flies. I can't fly. So what ends up happening is I take this flying leap like right off of my bed. My mom hears this thump and she comes upstairs. And she opens the door and she sees a few things. One, she sees me like sprawled on the mattress on the floor. The lamp's broken and the curtain is smoldering because it's now attached to the electrical socket, which the lamp was plugged into. And she asked me this really stupid question. She like sees all of this, opens the door and goes, "What you doing?" Here's the problem, I'm the daughter of a lawyer, so I can argue with the stop sign. And so I looked her dead in her face and went, "Hey, nothing." And she didn't buy it. The important thing is that my mother taught me to be whatever I wanted to be, right? Past the sun, the moon, the stars, and everything in between, as long as it was easily seen that these three things came first. Now, those three things were my family, my education, and the thirst to know God. But when I was younger, I'm pretty sure y'all figured out a little odd, I wanted to be a chemist. So in the midst of the scientific community, it could be me who could be trusted to blow crud up. Now that was when I was younger, right? My dreams progressed to wanting to be a member of Congress. It must have been before I found out lying was wrong, I guess. But hey, never mind, I digress. It was when I was younger. Back when my dreams for success rivaled my want for recess, and back when I thought if I did well in school, meant that I was cool, right? Those who didn't dream were all fools, left as tools in a workshop called humanity, and this is the thought process of like 8-year-old me. And then I turned 9, and I discovered that it's not nearly that easy. Like, in the same day, I got bullied for being too fat and for being too skinny, and then again for being just the right size. I guess there are days, short and summarized, where you just cannot win. Like, catch-22, but who for you, guess what? We're doing it over again, and then I feel like the light behind the eyes of the hopeful have been doused, because every time I leave the house, I hear the same sentiments of success expressed above, repeated back to me, and I'm the one that sees the results, right? Of the insults and of the pain, and it's reflected on the scar's membrane that lays plain across their skin, except I swear to you, once that's been experienced, there's some form of anxiety, there's depression, and it's all set in simply because we can't see our own potential. And well, I'm forced to believe that I am playing pickup games with ghosts and the skeletons that host the dead hopes and dreams of my generation, who is now too scared to dare to believe guys we used to think that we could dream. That we could do whatever we wanted to be, and now we've deemed it impossibility to see the plans laid out for you or for me. Well, while we're on it, like, can I tell you what I see? I see a time when we all were younger. Back when our dreams for success melded our rest and our waking hours together before something landed on the feathers of life and it tipped us aside. But if it is just a feather, like, man, if it's light and paperweight, then isn't the gate to dreaming again in our hands today? Like, if it is just a feather, what is the problem with blowing it away? But this is where my friend with his phone is starting to tune me out. Don't ever think that the amount of weight that you're under is forever certain. It's like a curtain hiding you from the light of day. It's like when a thunderstorm rolls in near Illinois, you know, it never takes away the hope for seeing the sun again. So look, you are right. I still don't know what you're going through, but I do know that you are just like me, and I am just like you. We are human in creation, purposeful in ordination, intent on seeing our salvation from these chains. It's just my job to tell you, like 3 feet in this really awkward kidney bean of a circle, that things change. It might get better. And sure, we might get a little wetter waiting for that rain to pass. When it does, at last, I think I can deem these the days that I used to have when I was younger. I am an idiot. I've set my kitchen on fire, not once, not twice, but like 7 times in the last year. I did tell you where I learned to cook, yes. Right. Now, the 7th time, I remember, like, I'm really cheap, but I love French fries. And so despite the fact that McDonald's, about 10 seconds from my house, I was not willing to cough up the 99 cents that it would take to get professionally made French fries. So what do you do in that case, Elliot?
Burn down your kitchen?
Yeah, that was step 3 of this process. Step 1 is decide to make them yourself. So I remember I cut up like all of my potatoes, I put them in the grease, and I figured if I could like turn the burner on a little higher than usual, like they'd get done a little faster, right? You seen what I'm negotiating? He goes, no, okay, great. So I turned it up to where the stove was waving at me, you know, like that setting that says hi. I felt like it was just friendlier than the rest of them. And when I did that, I realized a few things. One, grease doesn't take too well to being incredibly warm. Because at this point, it's decided to spark. And in my freaking out, I remember I went and I grabbed like my sister's polyester blanket, because if you're gonna put out a fire, you might as well use your sister's polyester blanket. And realized that polyester doesn't burn, it melts. And if there's one thing that you do when your fingers are on fire, you stick it in your mouth to try to cool it down, and you find out that there is only one thing worse than polyester melting on your finger, is melting polyester in your mouth when you go to cool it down. So at this point, my stove and oven is on fire, my potatoes are burning, and everything kind of around me is falling apart, and I hear a knock on my door, which happens to be our Marine neighbor. Now this dude is built like a brick house and probably couldn't fit in this basement, but because this is not the first time I've set my house on fire, when I open the door, he has a little fire extinguisher that has the words fire extinguisher crossed out in Egypt written on it in duct tape. And he says, hey, like, I'm assuming you need some help, and he comes in and he like puts the fire out, asks me if I do it again, give him a call sooner, okay, great. And I realized I had to clean up the house because my grandmother is coming home. Now, how many of you know the problems with grandmothers? They're about this tall, mine's 4'0", and she's a cane that's about half as tall as she is, which means that her wingspan's been expanded, and that cane works real well for taking out your meat. So I realized that as she's coming home, like I'm fearing the battering that's going to come from this cane, and I had a couple of decisions. Like I've got soot on my walls, there's a hole in the carpet, and I decided to move my welcome mat kind of to the middle of the floor. I'll also change a couple of paintings around, and then I go to sleep, because if you're asleep, you couldn't have done it. And my sister's coming home. So my grandmother walks through the door, and she says in that little sickly voice that every grandmother has, like, hello, how's it going? Hey, Egypt, I got a question. I'm like, what? She goes, well, why is your welcome mat in the middle of the living room floor? Well, Grandma, you know, like the living room's got to welcome you home too, so I don't know why we're discriminating against the rooms. She goes, okay, well, why are the paintings all moved? So, well, you realize that, you know, if the sun hits it just the right way, then it looks better, and she corrected me and told me that painting is sideways. And she goes and she moves all of these things, and I figured I'd gotten away with it if it had not been for my Marine friend coming back downstairs, knocking on the door, and wanting to know if I needed help cleaning up the fire extinguisher mess from the fire. And my grandmother turns around and goes, what fire? Which leads to another nothing moment, which did not work nearly as well as I wanted it to. So she sits me down and she says, hey, like Egypt, look, you're in trouble, again, but you're not in trouble for setting the kitchen on fire, because at this point I kind of assume that you're going to if you don't break things first. But what you are in trouble for is the fact that you're hiding it from me, and I kind of own the house. Yeah. All that to say, you don't have my pick. All that to say, I mean, in the last couple of years I've noticed that a lot of my friends tend to have moments where they've burnt down their kitchen, and it's not necessarily something physical, it's not necessarily something they really did, but they're dealing and hiding scars that maybe they didn't realize they had from people who know them the best. And if you're hiding one of those, one, know that there is some weird Marine over next door with a fire extinguisher waiting to come and help you put it out, but you've also got at least this awesome community of basement dwellers that love and care for you too. So I've got 2 more things to do, and then I'm going to get out of your hair so that DDF can make a mess. And then, yeah, I think the compromise, but it's going to be a real prickly situation. So this last thing, I wrote this in Brian's living room, kitchen area, and it requires a choir, which unfortunately we don't have, so I'll take you guys. Can you repeat after me as best as you can? Adam, I'm hoping that you remember this, because I don't. Can you repeat this after me?
Yes.
Don't forget me.
Don't forget me.
I'm still singing. I'm still singing. No, I don't forget me. I'm still singing. Don't forget me. I'm still singing. All right, the important part about the song is that you don't stop that. So what are you not going to do? What are you not going to do?
Stop.
Yeah, just stop. All right, fine. Don't forget me. I'm still singing. Don't forget more.
Forget.
There we go. I told you I'd make it awkward. Like, did you realize that if you stacked all of your hymnals on top of each other, you'd have just enough verbiage to change a light bulb and enough excuses to make yourself want to walk away from me in a way that makes me an orphan without a choir? Like I'm still a child without a home. I am still someone that's waiting for Elliot to sing the darn words from the song. Thank you, Elliot. Look, I want you not to forget me. I want you to understand that all of my scars will tell stories. And they may not be things that matter to you, but look, they have shaped me into everything that I am. I want to tell you that I am still here. We're still singing. We're still waiting for some type of conclusion to the end of our sentences. And sometimes I can't see where it's going, and it might end up running on, but I know that semicolons are lifesavers, and the periods have not yet appeared in my ending. So look, I don't want you to forget me. I want to keep singing. I just want to find that life that you're telling me about. And now I'm speaking honestly, and I'm so blind that I can't see light. Fading time. You were kicked out all the beggars, widows, sinners, and strangers when you got to that. When will the words that I say mean more than time ticking away? Chords, the timing he's still off for. When will an orphan have a choir sing just for me? I'm still singing. Don't forget me. We're still singing. Thanks, guys. My name is Teacher Speaks. Last thing.